guys, welcome back. Happy back from Christmas break. This is my first video of 2020, so I'm super excited. We're going to start with on page 129 for our homework, and I'm just going to read this through to you and just follow along and pay attention. So on 129, the Rome Republic to Empire, the founding of Rome, lesson 1. The central question is, how does geography influence the way people live? What effect did geography have on the rise of the Roman civilization? And how did Rome become a great power? So we looked at a map of Eastern and Western Europe today, where you saw where Italy was in relation to Greece and Africa with Egypt and Mesopotamia. If you look on page 129, that's a zoomed in view of what is modern day Italy and what was then known as the Roman Empire, Rome. So we're going to look at how it was founded. So let's go to page 130 and begin. The founding of Rome. Okay. The beginning of Rome. Italy is a peninsula, which means it's surrounded on 3 sides by water in the Mediterranean Sea. It is shaped like a boot. The heels point towards Greece. The toe points towards the island of Sicily. The Alps across the top of Italy separate it from the rest of Europe. Another mountain range called the Apennines run down Italy from north to south. Remember, we looked at that today. Passes which run through the mountains help link people from different parts of early Italy. They could trade ideas and goods with each other. Italy has a mild climate, rich soil, and large flat plains that make good farmland. Historians know little about the first people in Italy. Between 2000 BC and 1000 BC, groups of people settled in the hills and on the plains. These people included the Latins. Historians think that a group of Latins tended herds and grew crops on Rome's hills. Their community developed into Rome. The people living there became known as the Romans. Rome was built along the Tiber, which is about 15 miles from the Mediterranean Sea. The river could be used for fresh water, transportation, and shipping of goods. Its location meant that sea-going pirates could not attack the city. Rome was built on 7 hills. The hills made it easy to protect the city from attackers. So number 1, underline 2 features of Italy's geography. So geography is anything like what the land was like, any mountain ranges, any rivers, any seas. What was the geography of Italy? So you underline 2. Number 2 says the Roman way of life was influenced by Latin, Greek, and Etruscan civilizations. How do other cultures influence your daily life? So you can pause it right here and kind of think about, how do other cultures influence your life? And maybe the way you talk, the way you dress, what kind of things you watch on YouTube, maybe what you eat. Okay. So I'm on the chart here. You have the Tiber River and the 7 hills. Tiber River is 15 miles from the Mediterranean Sea. It's used for fresh water, transportation, and shipping. 7 hills were protected the city from attacks, and Latins settled there. Roman history does not just involve the Latins. Around 800 BC, the Greeks and the Etruscans came to Italy. So they came east to Italy between 750 and 500 BC. They taught the Romans how to grow olives and grapes and use the Greek alphabet. Romans also copied Greek sculpture and other art forms. And if you look, so if you Google this, or, maybe I'll show you this in class, but like Greek architecture, like with the columns and like the stonework and the art, like they're very similar. Like the Roman and the Greek, like they're very, very similar. Like Roman pillars, the Greek pillars, all marble. I mean, they're very close together, but like this early introduction of influence really shaped the whole culture of Rome, even in today's times. The Etruscans had an even greater influence. They came from an area north of Rome. Many Etruscans were rich miners and traders. Others were devoted to art. They painted pictures and created jewelry, tools, and weapons. When the Etruscans came, Rome was a village with straw huts. That changed, however, after 650 BC, when the Etruscans conquered Rome. They taught the Romans to build temples, streets, and public squares. Let's look at number 3. Which river was the city of Rome built along? Number 4, listing. List 2 items the Romans borrowed from the Greek, and that's going to be right under the chart. So 131, top of 131. The Etruscans introduced togas and short cloaks. A toga is a sheet wrapped around your body with one over your shoulder. Most importantly, the Etruscans showed the Romans how an army could be more effective. Later, the Romans copied the Etruscan army and conquered an empire. Number 5, how did the Etruscans influence early Rome? So that's the top of page 131, bottom page 130. And also right there underneath it, Etruscans' influence on Rome, Greek influence on Rome. How did Romans rule differently from the Etruscans? So let's look. That's going to be coming up, okay? Becoming a republic. The Etruscans ruled Rome for more than 100 years. The people benefited from Etruscan culture and ideas, but they got tired of Etruscan rulers. According to the Roman tradition, in 509 BC, the Romans rebelled and set up a republic. A republic is a form of government in which the citizens elect their leaders. Rome was still a small city when it became a republic. It had enemies all around it. Over the next 200 years, Rome fought in many wars. By 267 BC, the Romans had taken over the Greek colonies in what is now known as Italy. By then, the Romans ruled almost all the Italian peninsula. The Roman Republic grew because of its strong army. Roman soldiers were well trained. At the beginning of the Republic, every male citizen who owned land had to join the army. Men who ran away or deserted the army were killed. This turned Romans into loyal fighters. It's kind of like the Spartans. The Romans also thought of better ways to organize their army in battle. At first, the soldiers marched next to each other, moving in one large group. They attacked their enemy from only one direction. This way of fighting was slow. Then the generals changed the style of battle. The Roman generals divided their armies into groups of soldiers called legions. Each legion had about 6,000 men. The legions were broken up into even smaller groups of 60 to 120 men. These small groups could move very quickly in battle. Roman soldiers used a short sword called a gladius and an iron spear called a pilum. Each group also had a standard. A standard is a small pole. Was a tall pole with a symbol on top, sometimes an eagle or another animal. One soldier would sometimes hold up the standard so others can see it. This helped the group stay together during battle. So like you had a 6,000 group, but then within that 6,000 group you had smaller groups, and like they all had like their little totem pole, and like you follow that totem pole around to fight. It's pretty interesting. The Romans were also very smart planners. They built military towns in every region they conquered. Then they built roads between these towns. Soon their armies could travel quickly across the land. The Romans believed they needed to treat conquered people fairly. They stressed that people would become loyal to Rome if they were treated well. The Romans created the Roman Confederation. It gave some conquered people full Roman citizenship. Interesting. They could vote and be in government. So these people that they conquered, they weren't like enslaving everybody. Like they're like, look, you're still a human. We kind of still want, we want your opinion. You're part of this team. Don't get the wrong idea. So yeah, that's pretty cool. The Romans made other people allies. Allies could run their town. but they had to pay taxes to Rome. Allies also had to fight in Rome's armies. With these procedures, the Romans hoped to keep peace. So it's easier to keep peace in a place that you've conquered if everybody's chill. And everybody's okay, look, we don't have our own government anymore. We have to pay taxes, but we still got to do what we want to do. The Romans didn't force their conquered peoples to be Roman acting even. They didn't have to adopt the language. They didn't have to adopt their writing system or anything like that. They could just keep doing what they're doing. Just give me some money. It's pretty reasonable. If an area did rebel, Rome was ready to squash it. As a result, the Roman Republic grew stronger. Okay, number 8. How do you think the people conquered by Romans felt about their new rulers? Number 9. Why were the Romans able to expand their control of Italy? So those are both in that last bit that I read, the last page. And then number check for understanding. I would say number of. Check for understanding lists 4 characteristics of Rome and its people. And you can go from 131 to 132. I mean, anything anything the Etruscans did or the Greeks did, those are all characteristics of Rome, right? And their people. So just kind of go back there and see if you can find anything characteristically Roman. So things that are like the Romans. All right, guys. So tomorrow we are going to finish our math activity. And we are going to hopefully be done with that so we can move on. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, okay? Bye.